You're in a jungle, and you're lost. You're getting worried. The sun is starting to go down, and you don't know how much time you have before getting back to where you're staying, so you're hurrying, pushing past giant leaves in your way, when suddenly you see a snake, coiled up and ready to strike. You freeze, your eyes adjusting in the creeping dark. The snake stays still, and you begin to inch away when something in you says, Wait a minute. Wait, is that a snake? No, it's not a snake. You look closer. It's a coiled rope lying on the ground. And wait, isn't that a chain link fence over there? Ah, you're back. You found your way back. Thank God. And look, it's your old friend the Ribbons, that giant stuffed bear your boyfriend won for you that summer in high school. And oh no, he's mad at you. And then you wake up. Where does the jungle go when you wake up? When you've noticed the snake is a rope, you're not afraid of the snake anymore. There never was a snake. When you wake up, you don't really care that Ribbons was angry at you. You don't try to make him feel better or apologize to him. Ribbons was a dream character. The snake was a rope. Awareness is always present, now and now and now. It's not necessarily some profound realization or deeply meaningful event. It's just there, here, this. Something as obvious and all-pervasively present as the screen is that you are now watching behind the images. I'm using the word awareness, but other words might be better pointers for you. Presence, being, listening, openness, knowing, loving. I'm using awareness purposefully, but if one of those words feels closer to you, if it sparks something for you, you're welcome to substitute it in your mind as I'm talking. So, if awareness is not some great big experience, why would you care about it? When you wake up from a dream with a snake, where do you go? Becoming more and more familiar with awareness, awareness comes to know itself, and this is called awakening. It's why we call the Buddha. This title means the awakened one. It is an analogy, but it's an instructive one. Our ordinary senses of self share something with our dreams. Waking up in both senses reveals that all the drama, all the concerns, the fears, the hopes, the aspirations, they were all based on a kind of fundamental illusion. They weren't unreal, per se, but they were insubstantial, not what you had taken them to be. Apparent, but not finally, essentially real. You may wake up and still feel the effects of the dream, or make some meaning out of how the dream applies to your life, but the snake has disappeared, and so has the dream you. They existed entirely in your mind. When you wake up, the whole thing simply dissolves. That idea can be unnerving, so note also in this analogy, when you wake up and find yourself in your bed in the morning, something about you hasn't gone anywhere. The dream self has disappeared, but you, something core about who you are, remains. Similarly, to call yourself a kind of illusion isn't to say that you can simply ignore life or the world around you, dismiss your experiences, or slide into hedonism, nihilism, absurdism, etc. Quite the contrary. Your deep engagement with this life is important and meaningful. In fact, waking up can bring us into a much deeper engagement in life, a deeper intimacy with our experience, and a greater familiarity with our minds. It's just that there isn't a you there to be doing any of this, at least not in the way that you tend to assume there is. This fundamental illusion, what the Buddhists call ignorance, is one of the reasons why we suffer, which is why all of this matters. Not knowing awareness, not realizing that you were in a dream, you suffer needlessly. As you were terrified in a dream when running into a poisonous snake, so is your mind reactive towards your experiences based on a misunderstanding. And so we experience our lives as something of a roller coaster that loops and loops endlessly, until, of course, it's just gone. When we have deeply recognized that what we are is the screen and not the images on the screen, that all of our experiences and concepts are content playing on the screen of awareness, when the screen recognizes itself in every experience and possible experience, we are liberated from the suffering of the roller coaster of ups and downs. Wake up from the nightmare, and you are free from the snake. The film ends, the story remains, and you realize that you were completely engrossed in the story. But the story, after all, was only a story. It's not what you are. When you look at awareness, and awareness knows itself, recognizes itself, this is called awakeness, or awakened mind. When awakeness knows itself in all experiencing, conscious of the screen that is present underneath any image, and even the possibility of any other way of being has been extinguished, this is called enlightenment. Your life is not merely a fiction, but for the moment, most likely at least, you are wrapped up to some extent in being something which is not awareness, not free or open. You find yourself in an elaborate dream that you seem to have some kind of influence over, but also just kind of happens to you, and the stakes here are life and death. And living this way kind of sucks. Welcome to samsara. This is part 3 of the 12-part first chapter in the series You Are Looking at a Screen. For more, check out the notes for this video, and please like and subscribe for the full series. If you have any questions, if you've found this helpful, or have criticisms, leave a comment. For workshops, free meditations, individual instruction, and more, head to andrewlewisvenezia.life. Be well, be good, and be free.